Toastmasters.
5 to 7 minutes?
5 to 7 minutes, yes. Thank you, John. So I get a call. It was December 26, 1999, which was a Saturday on a long holiday weekend, and it was my boss, Alan. And although Alan and I were close, it was unusual for him to call me on a Saturday, so I knew something was up. And he started out the conversation by saying, how do you feel about the kingdom? The kingdom? And we did have religious discussions, philosophical discussions, but I'm thinking the kingdom. He goes, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, how do you feel about it? I said, well, I don't know a lot about it. He said, well, we've got a big opportunity there, and I'd like for you to go and represent the company. And I thought, Saudi Arabia? I said, sure, I'll go to Saudi Arabia. And I did that because not only did I think it would be a unique travel opportunity because it's difficult to be able to get a visa to go to Saudi Arabia, I thought it would be a good chance for career opportunity as well as for a potential bonus if I succeeded in helping to support the sale. Then after I hung up the phone, my excitement started to turn into apprehension. So the people that know me know I'm a little bit of a nervous traveler. And especially traveling to a place in the Middle East by myself, to a place where I didn't speak the language, and a place that is very different than other places I've traveled in Europe and Asia, had me nervous. And then I started reading the State Department warnings, which at the time, back in 1999, they probably haven't changed much, actually were warning about US travelers to Saudi Arabia, be careful of terrorism, be careful of being in places where Westerners frequent, be careful of using public transportation, all these be carefuls, which for me is like, suicide. And so as the trip grows nearer, I also was reading a manual that my company developed called Traveling to the Kingdom, which was developed because we had a large consulting project in Saudi Arabia, and so a lot of employees traveled there, and because Saudi Arabia is what's called a theocracy, meaning that Islam, which is the national religion in Saudi Arabia, is also part of the law. So the law of Islam is the law of Saudi Arabia. So that means all kinds of things like religious artifacts that are non-Islamic are illegal, they're counterbanned. Things like being caught with a woman who's not your relative or your wife is illegal. If you go into a restaurant, men sit in a certain area of the restaurant and women must be accompanied by either a male relative. So all these rules. So fast forward to March 23rd, and I'm leaving out of JFK Airport in New York, and I'm traveling by myself, and of course I'm in the lounge, because back then we get to fly business class for those long trips. And so I said, I'm going to drink as many beers as I can so that I can hopefully sleep on the flights, because I do not sleep well on planes. I'm just one of those nervous travelers. And so it didn't work, by the way. And so 17 hours later, I found myself in Riyadh. Now the Riyadh airport, if anybody's ever been there, is a very nice airport. It's very modern. It's like marble floors, very bright. But when I landed into a perfect storm in customs. There's about 10 lines in Riyadh, which is a port of entry, just like Miami or JFK in the US. And you've got to funnel literally thousands of travelers through these 10 lines, which during normal time of year is not a big deal. But during the Hajj, which if anybody's heard of the Hajj is a pilgrimage. It's probably one of the largest religious pilgrimages in the world, where every Muslim in their lifetime is required to travel to Mecca in Saudi Arabia, which is the center of Islam. And they must do that in their lifetime if they're able-bodied and have the financial means to do so. And it just so happens that I was lucky enough to travel on the day that Hajj started. So when I landed, being a nervous traveler, having not slept in 17 hours, it's 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, and I left Wednesday night out of New York, to give you an idea. So it's approaching Friday morning. And I'm surrounded by literally thousands of pilgrims, dressed in their thobes, which are long robes, and gutra, which is the headwear that they wear in the Middle East. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I wonder if when I go through customs, they're going to see my gold crucifix. What's that going to do? Am I going to get arrested for that? And as time went by, I'm online for like 4 hours. It's not moving. I'm thinking to myself, well, they said don't use public transportation. And my driver has to have left by now, because at least in the US, if you're like an hour late on arrival for a flight, your driver's gone. So I'm thinking to myself, can't use public transportation, don't have a cell phone, because this is 1999, so like cell phones were like bricks back then. And I didn't have any currency, so like I've tried to use foreign currency and payphones and it doesn't work out well. And so I'm thinking to myself, even when I finally get through customs, how am I going to get to the hotel? It's like, now it's like 4 in the morning on Friday morning. Now I got up Wednesday morning in New York, in New Jersey, where I lived at the time, and now I found myself in Riyadh amongst thousands of pilgrims that didn't speak my language, worrying about whether or not some crazy thing was going to get me thrown in jail. Because not only do they have the regular police, in Saudi Arabia they have the Mataween, which are the religious police, and the religious police enforce the laws of Islam, some of which I was familiar with, some of them I would hopefully not learn the hard way. Well, anyways, by this time, the room is hot, I'm sweating profusely, the whole place reeks of people that need showers, myself included. And all I can think about is, oh my God, please just get me to my hotel room. I just need a shower and I need to get to bed. And just when I thought I couldn't wait any longer, finally, the custom guy holds out his hands, like, come on, come through. So like I come through, I put in my passport and I open it to the page with the Saudi stamp so he doesn't have to fumble through, ask me a few questions, and then finally, you know, after like almost panic attack, finally I'm through like customs. Now I'm like, all right, great. Now I get to find my suitcase that arrived 5 hours ago, and what's the chance that my 2 weeks worth of clothes are gonna be there, right? So sure enough, I get to where the luggage is, and my luggage is the last one standing, sort of like me. And at that point, thank goodness I did not get scrutinized. I didn't go through and test my mouthwash for alcohol content, which was going through my mind, or scan my hard drive and find, you know, somebody playing tennis in shorts and call that pornography, which they would. And I finally, almost through some miracle, I looked up, and through these blurry eyes that hadn't slept in like 22 hours, I saw this nicely dressed Saudi gentleman holding up a sign. And I got closer. I'm like, what's that? It said, Mr. Noel. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So by this time, I was just so grateful that I walked out with him to a waiting Lincoln Town car, which I entered into, and it crowned my entry into the kingdom. Mr. Toastmaster.